Hi, I'm Graeme, and this is my friend Pete. Say hi, Pete.
Hi.
And we've just been to see Justice League, and now we have to talk about it.
Two guys, one sofa.
We're back!
Yay.
Yay! The comeback that nobody asked for.
But you're getting it anyway.
Yay! So those are familiar with what me and Pete have done before.
We're sorry.
But the difference is this time we're rebirthing the podcast. First DC Comics reference there for you.
Rebirthing.
Rebirth.
It's a Jesus reference.
It's a Superman reference. Spoilers. And basically, the only ones that people seem to like with our ranty podcast were the movie ones.
Yeah.
And we do like being cynical assholes. We do enjoy how films are made and put together and written and acted and all these things.
Enjoy a critique.
Yeah. So we've decided to return and focus just on movies. Two Guys, One Sofa is now the occasional movie review only podcast.
Yes, and when we say occasional, it's probably going to be pretty occasional.
Yeah, there is no time. It's just whenever we decide that's a film we'd like to see and talk about,
so
I guess.
Referencing going back to the fact that we did the film podcast previously, it has been quite the hiatus since our last published podcast.
This is true.
I think it was the Batman v Superman review back in April, May last year.
I was
thereabouts. It was around that sort of time, I think.
And then we did two others, but they were both lost in a cryptic file problem.
We did a podcast in January of this year reviewing last year the film. It didn't see the light of day, but spoiler alert, it was shit.
Yeah, but there was a good one. The second one was a good one.
Oh, I meant the films rather than the podcast. The podcast, it goes without saying, was shit. God damn.
Oh, there's nothing like self-critique. So the other one we had was the long-awaited Ghostbusters 2016 review,
yes,
which went better in my eyes, but that was the one we lost. So we're having to re-record that, hopefully for Christmas as a
we're going to do a retrospective on the Ghostbusters.
Christmas festive fuckery by Paul Feig.
Yes,
that's to look forward to.
That's something to look forward to.
But we have just got back. No airs and graces about it. We just got back from the cinema after watching Justice League.
Yes.
The thunderous return to Earth for Gal Gadot.
In the DC world. Yes.
And let's just get straight to it then.
Well, before we get into Justice League specifically, DC in general.
Okay.
Yeah, as I say about our last podcast.
We have missed a lot, to be fair.
Yeah. Batman v Superman.
Shite!
Yeah, didn't go down well. So, what is the lay of the land in terms of the DC universe for those who might not be so familiar?
Well, they decided we need to do what Marvel are doing with Man of Steel. Or after Man of Steel. I think that was the problem.
Yeah.
I think after Man of Steel they decided we need to coordinate. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they suffered from not coming first, DC.
Yeah.
In that Marvel were able to play the long game. You know, introduce Iron Man. Nobody gives a fuck about Iron Man. Introduce Thor, Captain America, Hulk, and then you get your Avengers Assemble.
Which is the build. It's the payoff.
Phase 1, as they call it. Whereas DC didn't have that luxury. They've had to go straight for the supposed big guns.
Yep.
We've had the big Batman versus Superman.
Which was shite. I can't not say the word shite unless every time I hear that sentence.
And now already we're on to the Justice League. After a brief redemption of Wonder Woman, or semi-redemption.
Well, there was Suicide Squad as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I forgot about Suicide Squad.
There was Suicide Squad after Batman Superman, and after the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, DC and Warner Brothers decided what we're going to do is cobble together an absolute clusterfuck of awful.
Oh, the less said about Suicide Squad,
still
the better.
Yeah. So the next one, of course, was this year's long overdue, in my opinion, Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
finally making a big screen appearance.
We're both pretty positive about that. It's not about its
I mean, it's not this game changer that some have proclaimed, but at the same time, it is a fucking brilliant film. I love that film. I have it on DVD. I've watched it 3 times.
I find myself kind of critiquing superhero films in a different way to any other film, and I'll almost discount the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's always just a noisy, shouty,
Fighty.
incoherent mess.
Yeah.
And it's how much did I enjoy it up to that point. And Wonder Woman was great. It was a bit brighter. She acted like a superhero.
She acted like a fish out of water as well, which was the big praise that came from a lot of people, which I like. She suited that role because she's not the greatest. She's never going to win an Academy Award for Best Actress.
No, definitely not.
But this character, how they wrote the story and the narrative around that character, it suited her acting credentials,
Yes.
I feel.
It was a simple role. She didn't have to do a great deal. There wasn't a huge amount of depth to the performance.
No.
But it is exactly what it needed to be, and it's introduced a good new character into the DC world. And now, with Justice League, let's talk about how they squander that.
Gal Gadot returns to Earth with a horrible bump.
Horrible bump.
Let's break this down into sections because then it's going to be easier to follow. Where do you start with that? Let's go with the plot. Nice and simple, like the plot.
I didn't really understand it more than anything. It was, let's straight off the bat. It's going to be spoilers here. If you're listening to this, spoilers from here on out. If you haven't seen Justice League yet,
I don't give a fuck. I'm here to ruin your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your day, your week, your month, and your year.
But we won't ruin your day with this. So the one thing that got me with the plot was that the sole purpose of the whole story was revolving around 3 boxes, 3 mother boxes, as they call them.
It felt like a cliche from the off.
Tesseract.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Tesseract. Yeah, that was something in my throat from minute
And what was
one.
the fucking thing in the Transformers films?
Oh, the cube. The
cube.
all-spark cube.
Yeah.
Everything's a fucking... I think in the DC lore, there's been mother boxes. I think that's been a thing in the comics.
This is what we'll always come back to with these films, is that I'm not a huge comic book guy. You so are a little bit more so than me. But... So I don't know how, legitimate this is in terms of a deeper mythos.
I've heard
and all that
mother
sort of
box
thing,
before,
but-
like I say. That's...
But in the current superhero action film world, it felt played out.
Yeah, and the other
Cliche.
thing is as well, like the Tesseract was alluded to in several films.
Yeah.
It was established as this thing that was of great importance. It was an
Yes.
object that the storyline could be based around. Essentially, with these mother boxes, it's a case of 20 minutes into the film, this is a thing. This is the thing that we need to go after because it is important because we said so.
Plot, because maybe...
Yeah, and it just felt like... Even the Allspark was, like, pushed out in the first Transformers film. In the opening, like, credit...
Yeah,
I think Optimus Prime talked about it as the credits friggin...
Yeah,
or the
the
titles
narration,
came up.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
which
was very
established it
clunky.
before it came back
Yeah, it was
into the plot.
clunky, it was poorly done,
Yeah.
but at least it was something.
Yeah, this was... There's these 3 boxes. We have to find these 3 boxes. The 3 boxes are very, very
I
important.
can't even remember... we only saw the film.
wasn't
an
in
hour
Batman
ago.
Superman.
I can't remember how they even introduced it in this film.
No.
How we came
It just
to see
came
these
about.
boxes.
I think Batman saw scribbles on a wall after a
Yeah.
bad guy exploded. I think.
Yeah, he exploded into
think-
some shapes on a wall,
Fuck.
and then we
knows.
cut to the
Wonder Woman.
Amazon.
No, but this was after though. Like, the thing was, they introduced all of the characters like in a play-by-play.
It
Here's
was
one
very,
character.
very jumpy.
Yeah, and some of the characters didn't need to be brought in because, like you say, Lois Lane. They established that Lois Lane and Superman's mother,
Martha.
Martha. That name. Why did you say that? Fucking hell. Oh, fuck you, Zack Snyder. So they've in several scenes they established that obviously Lois Lane is grieving after
Yeah.
Superman died, and so is her mum. But the bank have foreclosed on the house now because Clark Kent obviously isn't paying
and
the
mum
bills.
has sort of come to terms with it.
Yeah,
and is
and
looking to move on.
There was no point in showing those two until they should have had cameo roles in it because they show them.
They could have been not been in it all. until
until
it's
it's-
revealed that they're getting too late.
Exactly. So the plot's very jumpy at the start. Some of it you could have easily cut out. The first 30 seconds I felt like blowing my own fucking brains out because,
God,
again,
yeah.
Zack Snyder goes overboard on the bleak depressiveness.
Yes.
You could have introduced these characters in a more fucking super... You could have shown them being... like, they showed Wonder Woman being heroic.
Saving, it was foiling a bank robbery or a terrorist attack or something
so,
like that.
Wonder Woman was shown in this kind of grandeur, kind of, I'm a superhero. Batman, I don't know if that guy would, like, Batman at the start is like arresting a common thief, I feel. Like,
it's not
and then
really
he uses him
anyway.
as bait for one of the
For the real
parademons. Yeah,
and
for
then
the
he just suddenly
parademons.
lets this person go.
He not only lets this person just go after committing a crime, and
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know. It was never alluded to that they were in cahoots. Like it was a big ploy by Batman, which would have been an interesting thing because there would be
Yeah.
no other reason that Batman would then come out loud and say Alfred,
Yes.
and give away his superhero fucking identity to the common crook you just dangled over a fucking
that
ledge.
was a bit of a recurring problem throughout this.
Zack Snyder
Oh.
can't write fucking shit. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, straight from the off, he was very dark, bleak. The opening thing
Batman,
was the
I mean,
Superman, wasn't it, on the
yeah.
little handheld screen?
Yeah, that made no fucking sense.
That was very weird.
You say, have you ever thought a hippo? It was it was just like, was that your attempt at like a cutesy kid asking a question? Because where the fuck did that kid put that fucking question from? Now, if you had said, have you ever fought a gorilla? That's a little nod to other DC characters
Yes.
like Gorilla Grodd, who's a Flash baddie. Little tidbit like that. That's how you fucking write it, Zack. That's how you fucking write it.
But no, that made no sense. So that was done. And yeah, so Batman very bleak. What? I can't even think where we're going from there.
Wonder Woman was bank person. We got introduced to Flash because he was visiting his dad in prison.
Naturally.
Super
Daddy
fun.
issues,
Yeah, super fun. We were then introduced to a more brooding Batman figure in Cyborg who was doubled down on his brooding hoodie.
Yeah.
And his daddy issues that he had.
Yes.
So we had two characters with daddy
And
issues
Aquaman,
who just doesn't fit in this movie.
I don't know how to describe his role in this.
Dude, bro.
Dude, bro. Yeah, he's...
He did nothing in the film, though. Like, you think about it, what did Aquaman do in that film that justified writing Aquaman into that film?
Well, this is the big issue with him in that he did nothing to stop his cube being stolen. That just happened. He was just easily swept aside.
Mira did more. His lady.
Yeah. And then he briefly held off some water so they could kind of escape at some point. And that was it.
Yeah, like, he did fuck all else. There was no driving force behind that guy.
We don't know much about nothing at all about the backstory to Aquaman. I know nothing about his character.
I know
what he's like.
Yeah, I
books.
just
Is
know
he a sort of American jock.
I'm pretty sure he's fucking not.
I mean, I thought he was just a merman. I didn't realise he had any sort of human elements.
I think he had I think his backstory is, like you say, his mother or his father were from land, and whoever the other spouse was from Atlantis, and he's the rightful king or something to the throne of Atlantis. But other than that, in the fact that his, like you say, his queen is that Mira chick that was in it. I think Amber Heard played her.
Yeah.
Which was like a cameo for like a future setup, maybe.
Yeah, because it was established that he'd been away for a long time and hadn't been back there.
But yet they only say that he turns up in this one village on the King Tide, which alludes that he's been away from there as well. So if he hasn't been on land,
is he doing?
exactly, you've like there's no fucking narrative sense there.
Yeah, and they don't really ever explain why he goes to this fishing village.
No.
Batman outright asks him, why do you do this?
He just pins him up against a wall. So there's Dude Bro. So we're all introduced to all the characters very early doors, and then we're introduced to
and this is the problem, as we said, with Marvel. They set up the characters ahead of time, so when the Avengers film came around,
you knew the characters, you
knew
knew
the
what they were about,
and you can just get into your film.
Yeah.
With this, we had to spend quite a long time introducing these characters, who they are, or sort of who they are.
Yeah. It's like it's kind of a semi-origin as well. Like you say, that's the problem that
for
origin
multiple
stories always
characters.
have. But like you say, you've had to almost shortchange characters because of it. Like you say, if they explored Aquaman more, you may get a better sense of Aquaman.
Going further ahead now, you've semi-introduced these characters who we've been given no real reason to give a shit about. And we've now got to go back to their solo films. We've got to go back and have an Aquaman solo film. Go back and have a Flash solo film. After you've already had the big collaboration film.
Which, that's the thing. I mean, with this film, like, what you've either got to build it as Marvel did, or if you're going to bring everyone in straight off the bat, you need to make it the climax to a degree. You need your villain and your plot to be the reason why these are all coming together in the biggest way possible. So it was done in the comics when they rebooted the DC universe. The first Justice League story wasn't all this like, oh, they're all coming together. They were all brought together and they were facing the big baddie from the off.
Yeah.
That is why. And then from there, then they went on to obviously have the interactions with each other and like all of those stuff. Of course, they have their own separate comics anyway, which is where you get that from. And by that time, they've had like 70 years worth of history as well. So you kind of know the characters anyway.
Exactly.
But people kind of already kind of semi-know the characters anyway. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they're fucking iconic.
Yes.
You know about these, even if you've never picked up a fucking comic book. You know Wonder Woman has a lasso of truth.
Yeah,
you know Superman's the all-American fucking hero. You know Batman's a broody fucker.
Yeah.
You don't need any more than that. So instead of so you plough in, you go full in on it, and you say the bad guy's dark side, which is like the pinnacle of DC bad guys. He is the ultimate bad guy.
Yes.
Instead, we're treated to a guy that no fucker has ever fucking heard of.
What was his name? Steppenwolf?
Steppenwolf, who is like in the comics, he is like the general of Darkseid.
Yeah.
And even that is a fucking stretch because nobody like.
He's a background character.
Who the fuck is he?
Nothing more than that.
You don't base a fucking threat on this guy.
No.
So the baddie shite. The intro was very disjointed. Where did it go from? What was the fucking? Where did they go after? Like, because they had obviously the stereotypical. They're trying to get the team together. Some are a bit more enthusiastic about it than others.
Yeah. So we had the recruiting of the team, and I mean, they got the Flash first.
Flash was straight in there.
Where did you stand on him, by the way? He was sort of used as the comic relief more than anything. Fell flat for me.
Yeah, fell flat. Was a bit too forced. But the idea of the character being like that, if it was done better, if it was written better...
It was badly executed. He's right to be the comic relief character.
Yeah, he's called the fucking Flash. I mean,
but like you say, it felt like... And the whole film sort of felt like a reaction to the previous criticisms, like there was not enough humour. So they tried to force the humour in inappropriate times. The amount of times where there was a threatening situation and someone would make a cheap joke.
Yeah. It's almost like...
They were criticised for the lack of colour and the bleakness, so Superman's costume was brightened up and things like that, but it all felt like... You know, it felt like it was made by people in suits. It didn't feel like remotely like a labour of love or a film made by people who give a shit about these characters and...
Well, even if they did, they just don't get the characters then.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
It was a film essentially made by focus groups. That's what this was.
This was Suicide Squad with a bit more time to reshoot. Because Suicide Squad was essentially that.
Yeah.
People like Guardians of the Galaxy. They did not like Batman, Superman, or Man of Steel. Fuck quick, throw some quips in there. Yeah. Reshoot the fucking... And that's the other thing about this film. I mean... Well, we'll get to the directors next, because, I mean, like I say, that's a whole different subject. So the plot is... They all get together in the end. They fight this bad. The bad guy gets like his. The thing is, he has to get these 3 boxes because they are ultimate power. They are the Genesis wave from Star Trek 2. You combine them all, and they reset the matrix of the world. Like they form the world, killing everything in its path in the vision of fucking, I guess, Apocalypse, which is Dark
essentially. Yeah.
Again, not really fucking explained. No, they were just like, this happens, but it was like, why does it transform?
It's one of these things we just have to accept.
What's the point of the transforming of the world? Is there a point to why it transforms the world, or did they just transform the world and kill everything because Rafflecopter?
Yeah, because movie
Maniacal laugh.
Yeah,
that was a bit stupid and half-assed. And then, like you say, they go to the separate locations where these boxes are held on Earth. And I think it was Wonder Woman tells this backstory of this CGI computer game from PlayStation 3 era where there was a huge battle where...
With the actual Roman and Greek gods
Yeah.
fighting against...
Was Zeus, was it?
Yeah,
With
Zeus
the lightning
was there
bolt.
and all of these people.
See,
the gods of Mount Olympia.
Okay,
That's who
and
they
then,
were.
okay.
So it was-
I was wondering who the guy with fucking lightning was, and then it clicked. I was like, was that Zeus?
Well, that was so jarring having them sort of in this DC world.
Yeah, because
they exist in the same world.
even in the comics, they don't give a fucking shit. That's the whole point. The Greek gods are the Greek gods are assholes. Even the Greeks wrote them as fucking assholes, and that's why they're my favourite of all. If you're gonna make up some bullshit, fucking batshit insane, Lord Almighty, the Greek gods are the funnest to read about.
Oh, yeah,
like,
absolutely.
so, like, just having them there seemed weird, and like, but this whole CGI sequence where everyone comes together, very Lord of the Ringsy. I was almost expecting to see old Legolas appear.
Oh, and it was
the world of men came together with the world of Atlanteans and Amazons.
It was very Revenge of the Sith. It was just this computer animated backdrop that they're fighting against.
Just even everything was so CG'd in the film.
Yeah, it's unnoticeably so. It wasn't even seamless. It wasn't like a plush, beautiful.
Yeah, it was in your face.
It was obnoxious. It was loud, shouty, irritating.
Yeah, everything was CG'd
It was just
as
an
well.
assault on the senses, essentially.
So, after the story of these 3 boxes is told, the bad guy goes about and gets 2 of the boxes. The first one is from
Amazonia.
the
hidden island.
Themyscira,
Yeah.
with the Amazons, who protect this thing in this. Like, all of a sudden it starts rattling, so they're all like pointing the spears at it, and then that's when you introduce the big bad guy, who is a complete CGI bad guy.
Yes.
That I still don't know who the fuck he is. He's just a dude.
Just a dude.
With a fucking axe. And then he goes about killing off basically every like background character from the Wonder Woman film from Amazon. That's what I noticed. All those familiar faces. They didn't have they may have had like one-line roles, or like there was the one that one of them got killed after shooting, like
Crushed
keeping
on
it.
the horse.
She was in it. There was the blonde one that kind of led Wonder Woman away when she was a kid.
No, I think she died in the Wonder Woman film, didn't she?
No, that was her aunt. Though. That was the one that was trying. I'm on about like the.
The other one.
Yeah, the younger one.
Yes.
I think it's like a supermodel or something that just gets her generic.
Yeah.
You can appear in a film. Like she fires it. She fired it away on the
bullshit.
Yeah, like she fired it away on the bow to try and keep it out of reach, and then she got. So essentially, Zack Snyder killed off every single bit part familiar face that you would have got. Say if now Wonder Woman or Themyscira is ever a thing in a future DC film.
Yeah,
There's going to be the Queen.
Yeah.
And then there's just going to be nobody else that you fucking recognise. And that's how you build fucking continuity.
Exactly.
They don't even have to have a fucking speaking line. If you see the same faces, because I noticed them.
Yeah, it gets in your head.
Gets in your head. And that's how you build a fucking narrative, Zach.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. So, he destroys and butchers a load of Amazons, takes the
Zack
box.
Snyder hates women.
Yeah. Oh, and that was another thing. I know there's been a big thing about it in the press, but it is. Why were they all scantily clad all of a sudden instead of in battle armour?
Yeah, they'd really
we saw
objectify
belly buttons. There were belly buttons. That was a thing. I know. I was just like,
yeah, you noticed with Gal Gadot as well in general.
How many ass shots did Snyder put in there? Within 2 shots, I think there was an upskirt shot, and the thing I was just like, no. And then you got the fucking Amazons in their fucking bikinis and looking like Xena warrior princess rather than like anything remotely like a fucking warrior. No wonder the guy fucking cut through them so fucking easy.
Yeah.
Like, not one of them was fucking equipped for fucking war apart from the Queen. That was it.
Yeah, so that sucked.
Then we go to Atlantis.
That was brief, Atlantis.
And that was very brief. You're introduced to Mira.
And that was it.
And that was it. Like, she tries to... there wasn't as much protection because it's almost like the CG would have cost too much.
Yeah, they didn't know how to do it.
So there was like 4 guards as opposed to 100 Amazon warriors in
It was
Atlantis.
essentially, if you've seen the Power Rangers movie, and it takes them an hour and a half of the Power Rangers movie to become the Power Rangers because money.
Yeah,
That's what this was.
yeah. It was a quick over in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it. You get a brief history of Aquaman, thanks to Mira.
Very clunky,
like, yeah,
with exposition.
Just very much kind of. There's no need for that. You know, there was no need for that conversation. It could have been a case
It
of.
was there for the audience.
It's your job to go get this.
Yeah, instead of
Here's your fucking trident.
it's your job because your mother,
Yeah,
she didn't
you know,
really abandon you, she loved you.
Your mother was a whore, Martha. Martha. One of his name was.
Everyone's got fucking mummy issues.
Yeah, it's all parent issues, isn't it? So yeah, they get the boxes. Then the Justice League, 5 of them come together to try and stop some kidnappings because the bad guys sense fear and then kidnapped 8 people.
Yeah, they didn't really explain who they kidnapped or why. One of them was
Was it something to
Cyborg's
do?
dad.
With, yeah, wasn't it something to do with like people that they thought could lead them to the third mother box, which was
I don't know.
men's mother box? Because this was the thing. Each tribe of people that defeated this guy in the olden days got a box and they hid it. So the Amazons kept it in a temple.
Yeah.
Kind of fortified thing.
Yeah.
Same with the Atlanteans. It was on like some sort of pedestal in Atlantis. And fair play to us humans in the eyes of, you know, whoever wrote this, because they used the most common sense. They just picked a random ass place and just buried it in the fucking ground where no one could ever find it again.
Word from McCann's.
Everyone else, there's like this big powerful thing right into the fucking sea where no one can fight. Why would you make a big deal like this is the temple where we keep it?
Shine a spotlight on it.
Yeah. Oh, bollocks to it.
Red ropes.
Oh, fuck it. So they fight the guy. They kind of get their ass handed to him slightly, but not really. He decides then to fuck off, and that's
For
when
some reason?
Yeah, and that's when Aquaman kind of turns up. Like they almost like hinted as well, like they were building up like Wonder Woman versus this Steppenwolf is the big.
Yeah, that was the
Thing.
story.
Yeah,
Because they
but-
had the history.
Yeah, of like I killed like he was like I killed a load of your Amazon sisters and their blood still stains my magic hammer thing. And he's like, all right, so like I can see like there's a bit of a plot developing between those two, and it's going to be like
Yes.
that's going to be the end battle to a degree, like or she's going to get her revenge or bloody anything like that.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. So after that, then they all decide at some point that our mother box that we found, because he just turns up with it at some point, the cyborg guy.
Yeah, it never really explained how he steals that.
He just turns up with it and he's just like, my dad experimented on me with it, and that's how I got my parts.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever explained how they end up with it.
No, he just turns up. Like, he disappears. Like, he bolts. I think they make a joke about it. Like, he just fucks off and leaves, doesn't he, mid-battle?
Oh yeah, Aquaman rescues them by holding off the water, and he's using Batman's little spider climbing thing to move
Yeah.
them up,
And then stops.
and then just runs away.
And then all of a sudden they're fight. So, yeah.
And then they're in another room.
Yeah,
all of a
they're
sudden.
back in the Batcave. And then he brings the thing to them, and they all decide, this can bring Superman back. Mm-hmm. How? We don't know. Because it's just like, this can regenerate cells that are dead, but if he's not really dead because he's Kryptonian and he's still alive. Fuck knows.
Yeah, it was never really explained the science.
Convoluted, the right word?
Yeah, convoluted. Horse shit.
Tripe. Just
Yeah.
schlock, as some would say.
I mean, it was stupid when Lex Luthor did it in Batman vs Superman. It was more stupid in this.
All right, this is my big quip about this whole thing, and it pisses me off more than anything. I think I leant over to you and mentioned it in the time. In Batman Superman, he pushes Clark Kent in, he cuts his hand. No, he pushes the dead guy, Zod.
Yeah, Zod.
Pushes Zod in, cuts his hand, and it mixes with the DNA.
Yes.
This time they dig up Superman.
Oh yeah,
They actually
we get
take
an
him
actual
up.
zoom of his body being exhumed by the Flash and
Cyborg.
That's the thing that happens in this film, grave robbing.
Yeah, so that's a thing. Like they dig up Superman. They then put Superman into the jelly, the special jelly, which causes it. But then,
Yeah.
like, a Polaroid picture drops into the water of his dad, like, because we needed Kevin
Yeah, that
Costner
he
to
was
be in
buried
there.
with.
Yeah, so that gets dropped in as well. And I was thinking this is going to be like, I thought it would be so funny if, like, it was like The Fly, you know, when The Fly goes into the
he comes
teleporter.
out looking like his dad, or-
No, he comes out looking like a Polaroid picture. Like,
Yeah.
it's just Superman, like a Polaroid picture with arms and legs and his face just trapped in the middle of it, warped and distorted.
like
like,
the Hamburg.
Kill me!
The Hamburglar, but
Yeah.
it's photo form.
Martha! You know, just like...
Oh, God.
So, then they bring him back. Obviously, he flips out a bit because he's been brought back from the dead. For no apparent reason, Cyborg shoots at him.
They do kind of explain that. It's like,
But it's so tentative.
it's very tentative, but at least they kind of make the effort to explain that his suit, like his metallic suit at this point, isn't intelligent enough to not recognise Superman as a threat.
So it just senses
So
a
it
threat and shoots him.
him. And to be fair, then leads into the best scene in the film, in my opinion, which is Superman fighting the Justice League.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that fucking scene.
It was done very well. Like you say, it's one that will make comic book nerds up and down go, that wouldn't happen because Wonder Woman's lasso can't be, no, she's too strong, or
Yeah.
Aquaman was a breaching because, or Batman's done this before in bloody... It was alright. It was better than Batman versus Superman, or
it was the
Superman
best.
versus Justice
I
League.
genuinely really liked the bit where the Flash is running at super speed.
Yeah, that was my favourite part of the whole
Superman
film.
slowly turns around, looking at him, and going.
And Flash's
"What are you
face
doing?"
is brilliant. That's the one bit of comedy that fucking landed.
Yeah,
It was
That was
brilliant.
great.
His
That was really
face
good.
was so over the top, it worked. Like, it was just a complete kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it seems strange to see it because he sucked so much in Man of Steel and in Batman v Superman, but I thought Superman was probably the best part of this film.
Because he was
He
Superman.
felt like Superman.
Yeah, after he got kicked the shit out of the Justice League. That was the other bit that I liked, is when him and Wonder Woman had like a headbutt off.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was fucking
Full on
brilliant.
headbutts her
Yeah,
in the face.
Like, if he headbutts Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman then is a badass and headbutts him back, which you're just like, I like that. And then Superman just decides to one up it by like hovering, like getting that extra kind of levity to the butt by hovering above the ground, and then fucking headbutts her like into the concrete, and she just kind of goes, ah, it's just like brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it was the best Henry Cavill has looked in these films.
Yeah.
Because he has struggled up to this point.
Yeah. And this is where, before we're saying the introduction to characters, there was no need for the first half of this film to have Lois Lane or his mummy in it.
Yeah, because it was particularly John because they only pop up every 40-odd minutes as well.
Yeah, there was no point to them being in it,
You
apart from
forget them.
these two scenes, which were when Batman says, you know, Alfred, bring in the big guns, and you could tell you knew it was going to be Lois Lane. It wasn't like, but they tried to make it out for the general public that wouldn't thought that they just
There was going to be some legitimate...
big
weapon.
gun, like a
Yeah.
spear with fucking kryptonite on it, maybe. I don't know. Like they've dug
Yeah.
that back up again. You know, something along those lines, or like you say. But then Lois Lane turns up, and that should have been Lois Lane's big reveal.
Yes.
That's where you introduce her for the most impact.
But no.
But she's already been in it, like 2 random scenes for some apparent reason.
Yeah, we see her sitting...
Which add nothing to the storyline.
We see her sitting in the canteen at work, I think.
Yeah, with his
mum.
with the mum.
Chatting about how she can't write anymore. And she's doing decent.
and then in the awful bloody intro where the titles are going, where you could have shown some superhero stuff happening, it was just basically morbid. It's
Moping.
raining, mopiness.
Staring at the memorial.
Yeah, and you know, that's it. And you're just thinking, you didn't need her in that. If you wanted to say, oh, she's struggling, you know, after Clark's death, guess what? They then go. Superman fucking flies off. Obviously, he's pissed off, but Lois Lane calms him down, and Lois Lane knows him well enough to say, let's just go. So they fuck off. They fly away. Done. They then go to the fucking farm, and on the farm they have a bit of a, you know, talk and whatnot in a CGI cornfield. I swear it was the entire cornfield was CGI.
Oh, I'm not
I
even
swear
getting
to
into
God, it looks so unreal. It just leapt out at me straight away. It was at this point somebody face planted in the cinema.
Oh, God.
Just fell over in the dark.
During their tender scene.
Yeah. So I don't know if she said anything, but in that scene when they're talking, that's where, if they wanted to build on Lois Lane's character and how she struggled since, that's where she tells him.
Instead of the awkward dialogue that they did have, which was, what was it like being dead? itchy.
Yeah, it's like the sand is coarse. It
Yeah.
gets everywhere.
Yeah.
It was the same vein of that. I was just like, what are you trying to do
It
here?
was Zack Snyder not having a fucking clue how people talk to each other, just like Michael Bay, just like George Lucas.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
I
like,
can't imagine human interaction.
she's a report, like the world's best reporter, right? And for a
Supposedly, yeah.
brief semi-second, I thought she's asking a question like a reporter, like that suits the character. Like, what was death like?
Yeah.
That's a reporter asking the question. That is her character, and that would make sense. But then as soon as he goes on saying, it was really weird, instead of going, weird how? Because she's a reporter. And then he could have turned around and been like, Lois, now's not the time for an exclusive. Instead, she then goes, I've been really bad. And it's just like, it's all about Lois Lane. And it's just like, what the fuck? You've just got fucking the guy back from the dead. You're not going to ask him. And then she says something, that was it. You smell good.
Oh, God, yeah, I forgot about that.
Fucking necrophiliac bitch. He's just been dug up by the flashing cyborg. How does he smell good? How does he smell good? Was he buried with a bottle of fucking, Paco Rabanne or something? Oh, fuck. So, that happens. Then they go to Russia. They fight a load of shit. CGI.
Oh, speaking of Russia, we keep cutting to some random family
That's what I was
in
going
a
to get
house
to.
in Russia, yeah.
Yeah, and you're thinking,
Why are they there?
they are in it solely on the basis that the last two films, there's been a shit ton of destruction in Man of Steel,
Yeah.
where there was no human face until they introduced it in Batman and Superman, which was an interesting plot point, which they failed miserably on, but it was the right way to, it was a good idea putting it in there, like what happened if this brilliant. And then at the end of Batman Superman, they're like, this island is deserted.
Oh, yeah, they make such a point.
Yeah.
No collateral damage here.
Fucking. And so everybody then jumped on that, saying, how convenient. So now they've decided we're going to show one family's point of view. So there's the human thing.
Living in this abandoned nuclear wasteland under the shadow of a
because they have
tower.
nowhere else to go, is what Aquaman
Yes, that's
said.
what they said. They've got.
And they'll be the
to go.
first to suffer politics.
Yeah.
So this family turn up and they focus on the little girl in the family more, and like
Yes.
they're boarding up the house because the demons are flying around and it's kind of building towards it, and you're thinking, okay, they're going to make a stand or something, and then she picks out some bug spray from out the cupboard, and I
Yes.
thought, here we go, one of the superheroes is going to try and rescue them. Like Batman, because he hasn't got the superpowers to get out of it. Like his back,
He'll be getting overwhelmed by these little
his
bugs.
one thing will be it'd be out of reach, too far, like his batarang or whatever he needs, his little gadget, his Batman gadget to save the day, and this thing's like chomping inches away from his face, and all of a sudden this Russian girl will turn up with a can of bug spray it in the demon's face, which obviously wouldn't kill it, but it would be enough for it to be comically blinded, and just enough for Batman to gut punch it away and then get the thing and then kill it. And then he's going, let's get you back to your parents, little girl. And then they escape.
It would be a quip. It would be a shit.
Yeah, but that's what it seemed to be building towards. That was the only logical reason why you would keep them in there.
Bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Just that's the only reason why it should be in there. And I wouldn't want it to go there, but if you're going to do this, that's what it needed to be in there for. Instead, it's just the family that the Flash pushes in a car and adds fuck all to anything.
It was just there to have a human face to be saved, basically. To allow them to do something heroic.
Yeah, because they're like heroes being heroes. They're saving the day.
Yeah.
But you could have just done that with them saving a shit ton of... Like, I don't want to keep on comparing it to, like, fucking Marvel stuff, but you've got to think, what about the end of Age of Ultron?
Yes, when they rescue the people from...
That had a human face to it.
Sokovia? Is that what
Yeah,
it was?
yeah. They saved a load of people there without having to give them 20 minutes,
Yeah, establish them
Yeah,
as
they were
characters
just...
in the film.
They're people from this. Look, they're in peril. They're being saved.
Yeah.
That's all this needed to be. You didn't have to have a backstory of the fucking Russian family for some apparent reason.
We cut to them more times than we cut to Lois Lane in this film.
They generally have a bigger role in this one than they do, but they don't offer anything.
They don't have names. They have subtitles.
They're just Russian family.
Yeah.
It is.
It's so
Oh
bizarre.
my fuck. So anyway, because it's getting on quickly, big fight happens, bloody, Superman comes back, just
Saves
when
the
things
day.
are looking bleak,
Yeah.
kicks the shit out of this guy, which was pretty badass when he was like standing over him and just like hammer fisting
Yeah,
him
it
down.
was Superman being what Superman should be,
yeah.
and saving the day, being heroic.
Exactly.
Rather than Batman.
And he
kicking
even
ass.
did it with a smile on his face. Like at
Yeah.
the end, like when they separated these three mother boxes from
He
becoming
makes it a
one,
joke.
they start laughing.
Yeah, and it actually felt like...
I mean, it was a terrible joke. Don't get me wrong, I did not laugh at it, but it wasn't like a groaning kind of, this is out of place.
Yeah.
That felt right from what you... That was, again, a very Marvel thing. That's what I would expect Thor or someone to say, is like, the
Yes.
Hulk's like crippled on the floor and like, Hulk smashed, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and, like, that's another thing as well. At the very end, like the Flash comes back in and says, "Guys, you should see what's happening outside," and then gets the shit kicked out of him by Steppenwolf, who returns.
Yeah, for some reason.
You never see what happens outside. He never goes back to it. What the fuck?
I don't know what's
So
happening.
what's happening outside? Extended edition's gonna tell us, just like this fucking Russian family. I guarantee that bug spray, mark my words, is in that scene that I've just described in the fucking DVD extras.
Oh, no.
So anyway, the bad guy gets his ass handed to him, kind of like Wonder Woman has like a brief moment. It like cuts his axe, doesn't she?
Yeah, she cuts the
After
axe,
Superman freezes it with his breath, she gets her big revenge
and then
by
because he shows fear,
his
his
bad-
insects turn on him.
but then for some reason then they all disappear up into the sky, which
Yes.
makes why
I don't
this
know.
guy's slaughtered a shit ton of Amazonians who are like supposedly the badass warriors of the planet, taking down a few Atlanteans and taking down the Justice League twice before in this film, and you're telling me he can't shrug off the cannon fodder, his own cannon fodder?
The
that's-
stormtroopers.
Yeah. Like, it makes... And I mean, even if he hasn't got this axe, he's still got a stick, he's still got the handle of it. Stop fucking flailing it around!
I mean, I suppose it's so we don't actually have to see him die, I guess.
Yeah,
So
because then his helmet just drops to
he's
the floor.
available for the future if need be.
It just makes... It was so... And like, that was the thing. You didn't have the payoff that it was building towards.
Yeah.
Superman came back and saved the day, yes. Batman kind of united the team. Wonder Woman had a brief moment of, I'm confident enough to lead the team. Because that was
Sort
her
of.
kind of story, wasn't it? But
Well,
then
she
didn't.
was. We sort of get when they're doing the usual sort of montage of what everyone's doing at the end, and we see Cyborg laughing with his dad, and Flash going back to his dad, and he's got a job.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, we see sort of finally embracing her role and interacting with the public. I guess that's kind of her arc.
Yeah, and then turning up at Bruce Wayne's house.
Yeah.
As they're all going to do at Wayne Manor or something. Which
Something
makes
like
sense.
that.
She's an antiques dealer, I think, is her backstory, an art collector or something.
Yeah,
isn't
she works in a gallery or something.
So
like that.
she can deck.
We see her brushing a statue at one
Yeah,
point.
I mean, if anyone's going to dock out Wayne Manor in lavishes of a billionaire, to be fair, that's a solid reason why you would go to her.
Yeah.
And then and then Lois Lane starts typing on a typewriter with this
Narrating.
narration going over the top as all this is all playing out, and something about the darkness within. It was just basic, like, all I could think of when she was saying it was, and we always find our way out the darkness and all of this stuff. And you just thought, you're just waiting for the line of, because the executives told us so.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. And then there's like post-credit scenes that make little to no. I mean,
Well, there's the supposedly humorous one where
Flash races
Superman.
in the most corny of freeze frame.
There was a lot of freeze frame and slow mo. Still, he hasn't learned his lesson with
I'll
that.
get to that. And then the next one was Lex Luthor's escape from prison, and with Deathstroke making his cameo.
Yes, recruiting the.
Is
Legion
on about,
of
like you
Doom.
say, Legion of Doom or the Injustice League. There's been
whatever.
that many things about it, which now makes you think, well, if he's doing that, is that going to be the next Justice League film?
Yeah.
Because what about the Darkseid stuff? I always thought this was going to be a two-parter as well. I went into this thinking they were going to be like battered and bruised at the end, and that's when Superman turns up. Roll
I
credits.
believe haven't they put the second one on hold in order to make the solo Affleck Batman film?
Thank fuck.
But watching this, I didn't get the remote impression that Affleck's interested in doing more of this shit. He
No.
looked checked out.
Yeah.